The Vial Dominion had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had conquered more than 2,000 worlds. They had destroyed civilizations older than their own. They had turned entire species into slaves. No one had ever stopped them. No one had ever tried. Admiral Corrin stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Shadow. He was tall for his kind, with gray skin and 4 eyes that never blinked. He had led the 3rd Extermination Fleet for 30 years. In that time, he had burned 47 worlds. He had never lost a single battle. Today, he was looking at his next target. The planet appeared on the main screen. It was small and blue, covered with water and green land. The beings who lived there called it Earth. They called themselves humans. "Tell me about them," Corrin said. His second officer, a younger Vial named Torek, pulled up the data files. "They are a young species, Admiral. They have only had technology for a few hundred years. They have no faster-than-light travel, no energy shields, no planetary defense systems. They still use chemical rockets to reach their own moon." Corrin made a sound of disgust. "Primitives. Yes, Admiral. Our scouts classify them as level 2, barely worth the fuel to reach them." "Then why are we going there?" Torek changed the display to show the planet's resources. "Their world is rich in rare metals. Gold, platinum, uranium, and their population is large. 7 billion. They would make excellent labor stock for the mining colonies." Corrin nodded slowly. 7 billion slaves. That would please the High Council. What about resistance? Minimal, Admiral. They have no unified government. They are divided into nearly 200 separate nations. They fight wars among themselves constantly. They have nuclear weapons, but they have only used them twice, both times against their own kind. They're one. They have nuclear weapons. They have nuclear weapons. They have nuclear weapons. This made Corrin laugh. It was a cold, empty sound. They kill each other with nuclear fire? And they call themselves intelligent? They are a violent species, Torek agreed. But their violence is chaotic, unfocused. They have never faced a real enemy. They will break quickly. Corrin looked at the blue planet on his screen. He had seen this before. Every species thought they were special. Every species thought they would be the ones to resist. And every species learned the same lesson in the end. The Veil were stronger. The Veil were smarter. The Veil always won. "How long until we arrive?" Corrin asked. 3 standard days, Admiral." "Good. Prepare the standard broadcast. Surrender terms. The usual." 2. Torek bowed his head. "It will be done." Corrin turned back to the screen. Earth. Such a small world. Such a weak species. They probably did not even know the Vial existed. They were probably looking at the stars right now, wondering if they were alone in the universe. They would learn the truth soon enough. Far across the galaxy, on the Veil homeworld, the High Council met in their ancient chamber. They were the rulers of the Dominion. 12 beings who controlled more power than any human could imagine. They sat in a circle, their faces hidden in shadow. "The 3rd Fleet has departed for the new target," one of them said. "A planet called Earth." "I have seen the reports," another replied. "A primitive world. Every world has value. Every species has a purpose. The humans will serve us, or they will die." There was no argument. There never was. The Vial had been doing this for 10,000 years. It was not cruelty to them. It was simply the natural order of things. The strong ruled. The weak served. This was the way the universe worked. None of them noticed the small alert that flashed on a distant monitoring station. None of them cared about the tiny signal that had been sent from Earth 15 years ago. A signal that had been detected, decoded, and answered. A signal that had changed everything. On Earth, life continued as normal. People went to work, children went to school, lovers walked in parks, and old men sat in cafes drinking coffee. The sky was blue. The sun was warm. No one looked up and saw the darkness coming. But some people knew. In a secret room beneath a mountain in South Korea, a group of men and women watched the same screens as Admiral Korin. They saw the 900 ships. They counted every weapon. They measured every energy signature. And they smiled. Because the humans had a secret they had kept for 15 years, a secret that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. The Viel thought Earth was their next harvest. They thought humans were just another weak species waiting to be conquered. They thought they knew everything about this small, blue planet. They were wrong. Earth was not a harvest. Earth was not a victim. Earth was not what it appeared to be. Earth was a trap, and the Veil had just walked into it. The fleet continued on its course, 900 ships cutting through the void of space. Admiral Korin went to his quarters to rest. His officers prepared the invasion plans. His soldiers cleaned their weapons and dreamed of glory. None of them knew that in 3 days, everything would change. None of them knew that they were flying toward the greatest shock the galaxy had ever seen. None of them knew about the message that would make the entire galaxy shudder. Yuna Park was tired. She had been working at the Sejong Deep Space Observatory for 12 hours. Her eyes hurt from staring at screens. Her back hurt from sitting in the same chair. She wanted to go home, take a hot bath, and sleep for a week. But the universe had other plans. At exactly 3:47 inches the morning, her computer made a sound she had never heard before. It was a warning alarm. The kind that only activated for major events. She sat up straight and looked at the data. At first, she thought it was a mistake. The numbers made no sense. 900 objects, moving at impossible speed, heading directly for Earth. She ran the calculations again. Then a third time. The numbers did not change. Yuna picked up her phone with shaking hands. She called her supervisor, then the director of the observatory, then the Minister of Science. Within 2 hours, she was in a helicopter flying to Seoul. Within 4 hours, she was standing in a room full of generals and government officials, explaining what she had found. "How long do we have?" someone asked. 3 days, Yuna said. The room exploded with questions and arguments. Some people wanted to hide the information. Some wanted to tell the public. Some wanted to pray. Some wanted to run. But one man stayed silent. General Do-Hyun Lee was 62 years old. He had served in the military for 35 years. He had seen wars and disasters and things that kept him awake at night. But he had never seen fear like this. The men and women in this room were the most powerful people in the country, and they were all terrified. Everyone except him, because Do-Hyun knew something they did not. He knew about the secret project. The project that had been running for 15 years. The project that existed for exactly this moment. He stood up. The room fell silent. "I need to make a phone call," he said. He walked out of the room and found a quiet corner. He pulled out a special phone, one that was not connected to any normal network. He dialed a number that only 5 people on Earth knew. It rang twice. Then a voice answered. "Hello, Do-Hyun. Junho. They're coming." There was a pause. When Junho Baek spoke again, his voice was calm, almost peaceful. "I know. I've been watching them for 2 days." Do-Hyun closed his eyes. "Is everything ready?" "It has been ready for years. I was starting to think they would never come." "Can we win?" Another pause, longer this time. "That depends on how you define winning. We can survive. We can make them regret coming here. But win? Against 900 warships? Against an empire that has conquered thousands of worlds? Just tell me we have a chance." Junho laughed softly. "We have more than a chance, old friend. We have something they have never seen before. We have 15 years of preparation. We have technology they do not understand. And we have something else. Something they cannot measure or predict." "What is that?" "We have humans. 7 billion people who will fight to their last breath to protect their home. The Veil have never met anything like us. They think we are primitives. They think we will break easily. They are wrong. Do-hyun felt something warm spread through his chest. It was not hope. Exactly. It was something older. Something deeper. It was the feeling his ancestors must have felt when they faced impossible enemies. The feeling of standing at the edge of destruction and choosing to fight anyway. "What do you need from me?" he asked. "Gather the council. The real council. The ones who know the truth. We meet in 6 hours at the mountain base. And bring Captain Kang. We will need her." Do-hyun nodded, even though Junho could not see him. "I will be there." He hung up and stood alone in the quiet hallway. Through the window, he could see the Seoul skyline. Millions of people going about their normal lives. Eating breakfast. Taking their children to school. Complaining about traffic and weather and work. They had no idea that in 3 days, everything would change. Do-hyun made more phone calls. He gathered the people he needed. He told lies to the people he could not trust, and truth to the ones he could. By noon, he was in a military helicopter with Captain Minji Kang, flying toward a mountain that officially did not exist. Minji was young, only 34, but she was the best tactical officer Do-hyun had ever seen. She had been briefed on the alien threat during the flight. She had not panicked. She had not cried. She had simply asked one question. "What is the plan?" "You will see," Do-hyun said. "When we arrive, you will see everything." The helicopter landed on a hidden platform. Armed guards checked their identification 3 times. They walked through tunnels carved deep into the rock, past doors that required codes and fingerprints and eye scans. Finally, they reached the command center. Minji stopped in the doorway. Her mouth fell open. The room was enormous, filled with screens and computers and people working at stations. But that was not what made her freeze. It was what she saw on the main display. Ships, thousands of ships. Human ships, hidden in places she had never imagined. Under the oceans, inside asteroids, on the dark side of the moon. A fleet that no one knew existed. "Welcome to Project Guardian," a voice said. Minji turned. A thin man with gray hair and tired eyes walked toward her. He was smiling. "My name is Yunho Baek," he said, "and I have been waiting 15 years to show someone this." He gestured at the screens. "This is humanity's answer. This is how we survive." The Veil fleet dropped out of slipspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. 900 warships hung in the darkness, like metal dragons, waiting to feed. Admiral Korin stood on his bridge and watched the blue planet grow larger on his screen. "Begin the standard broadcast," he ordered. "Give them 1 hour to surrender. Then, we start the bombardment." His communications officer worked the controls. The surrender message was the same one they had used for thousands of years. "Lay down your weapons. Prepare for collection. Resistance will result in total destruction." Simple, clear, effective. But something was wrong. "Admiral," the communications officer said. His voice was strange. "I cannot send the message." "What do you mean you cannot send it?" "Our frequencies are being blocked. All of them. Something is jamming our communications." Korin felt the first touch of cold on his spine. "That is impossible. No primitive species could jam Veil technology." "I know, Admiral." "But it is happening." Before Korin could respond, every screen on the bridge flickered. The Veil symbols disappeared. They were replaced by something else. A human face. It was a woman. She looked about 40 years old, with short black hair and dark eyes. She wore simple clothes, nothing military. She could have been anyone. A teacher, a mother, a neighbor. But there was something in her eyes that made Korin uncomfortable. Something hard and sharp, like a blade hidden in silk. She spoke in perfect Veil, not broken or hesitant. Perfect. As if she had spoken it her entire life. "Admiral Korin," she said. My name is Hana Yoon. I am speaking on behalf of the people of Earth. We received your surrender message. We have a different response. Corin stared at the screen. His officers had frozen at their stations. No one moved. No one spoke. How do you know our language? He demanded. Hana smiled. It was not a friendly smile. 15 years ago, one of your scout ships entered our solar system. It was gathering information about our planet, studying us like animals in a cage. We detected it, we captured it, and we learned everything. The screen changed. Data began to scroll. Corin recognized it immediately. Fleet positions, defense codes, ship designs, weapon specifications, everything. Everything the Veil had kept secret for 10,000 years. We have been watching you for 15 years, Hana continued. We have studied your empire, your conquests, your methods. We know how you think. We know how you fight. We know your weaknesses. This is a trick, Corin said. But his voice was weak. Even he did not believe it. No trick, Admiral, just preparation. You see, when we learned you were coming, we did not panic. We did not pray. We did not hide. We got ready. The screen changed again. Now it showed something that made Corin's 4 eyes widen. Ships. Human ships. Thousands of them. They were everywhere. Hidden in the asteroid belt. Buried under the ice of distant moons. Floating silently in the darkness between planets. A fleet that had been invisible until this moment. You thought we were primitives, Hana said. You thought we had not left our planet because we could not. You were wrong. We did not leave because we were not ready. We stayed home because we were waiting. Waiting for what? For you. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Hana leaned forward. Her voice dropped lower, softer, but somehow more dangerous. Do you know what humans are, Admiral? We are the species that learned to make fire and immediately used it to burn our enemies. We invented the spear, the sword, the gun, the bomb. We split the atom and used it to destroy 2 of our own cities, just to end a war faster. We walked on our moon, not because we needed to, but because it was there, and we wanted to prove we could. She paused. We are not like the other species you have conquered. We do not surrender. We do not break. When something threatens our home, our families, our children, we do not run away. We run toward it. We fight until there is nothing left to fight with, and then we fight with our bare hands. The screens around Corin showed more data. More weapons. More ships. More secrets. You have 900 warships, Hana said. We have 3,000. You have plasma cannons. We have weapons you cannot imagine. You have 10,000 years of conquest. We have 10,000 years of war against the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy. Ourselves. Quote, she stood up straight. So here is our answer to your surrender demand. No. We will not surrender. We will not be harvested. We will not be slaves. And if you try to take our planet, we will destroy your fleet. Then we will find your homeworld. Then, we will show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity. Admiral Corin felt something he had not felt in 30 years of conquest. Fear. You are bluffing, he said. But his voice cracked. Hana shook her head slowly. We do not bluff, Admiral. We do not threaten. We simply tell the truth and let our enemies decide what to do with it. You came here expecting easy prey. You found something else. She smiled one last time. You found us. And now you have a choice. Leave, and tell the galaxy what you found here. Or stay, and we will teach you why Earth should have been left alone. The transmission ended. The bridge was silent. Every officer stared at their admiral, waiting for orders, waiting for him to tell them this was nothing, that the humans were lying, that the Veil would crush them like they had crushed everyone else. But Corin said nothing, because deep in his chest, In a place he had forgotten existed, he knew the truth. The humans were not lying, and for the first time in 10,000 years, the Viel had met something they could not conquer. The message was not finished. Admiral Corrin had just started to breathe again when the screens flickered once more. A new face appeared. A man this time, thin and pale, with eyes that seemed to look through everything and everyone. "My name is Junho Baek," the man said. "I am a scientist. 15 years ago, I was given a task. Study the alien ship we captured. Learn its secrets. Find a way to fight back. I have spent every day since then doing exactly that." He held up a small device. It was round and flat, no bigger than a coin. It looked harmless, simple, like a toy. "This is a quantum resonance disruptor," Junho said. "It took me 8 years to build the first one. Now we can make them by the thousands. When activated, it creates a field that destabilizes the molecular bonds of Viel-derived alloys. Your ships, your armor, your weapons, everything you have built with your stolen technology." He pressed a button on the device. It began to glow with a soft blue light. Within the field, your metal becomes dust. Your shields become nothing. Your proud warships become coffins. On the Viel flagship, officers rushed to their sensors. They scanned. They searched. They found what they were looking for. And their faces went pale. "Admiral," Torek said. His voice was barely a whisper. "The devices, they are everywhere. Inside our formation. Between our ships. There are thousands of them." Corrin grabbed the edge of his command chair. His legs felt weak. "When? How?" Quote, "How? They were already here when we arrived. Hidden. Waiting." Junho continued speaking on the screen. "We did not just prepare to fight you, Admiral. We prepared to destroy you completely. Every ship in your fleet is now inside the range of our disruptors. One signal from me, and your entire force turns to powder." He lowered the device and looked directly into the camera. "But that is not all. We did not stop at defense. We built weapons of our own. Weapons based on your technology. But improved. Enhanced. Made more deadly. Your plasma cannons fire at 3,000 degrees. Ours fire at 8,000. Your missiles travel at 1% of light speed. Ours travel at 5%. Your shields can absorb 10 direct hits. Ours can absorb 50. The screen showed comparisons, numbers, diagrams, proof. "You spent 10,000 years conquering weak species," Junho said. "You became lazy, comfortable. You stopped improving because you did not need to. But we never stopped. We took everything you had and made it better. Because that is what humans do. We take. We learn. We adapt. We overcome." Admiral Corrin finally found his voice. "Why are you telling us this? If you can destroy us, why not just do it? In Rever. Though. I'm in C. The Reezer." The screen changed back to Hana Yoon. She was sitting in a simple room with plain walls. Behind her was a window showing a garden. Flowers. Trees. Children playing in the distance. "Because we are not like you," she said softly. "We do not want to kill. We do not enjoy destruction. We have had enough war in our history. Enough death. Enough pain." She turned and looked at the children playing outside. "Those are my students. I am a teacher, Admiral, not a soldier, not a general, a teacher. I teach children to read, to think, to dream. And when your fleet was detected, I was asked to speak to you. Do you know why?" Corrin shook his head, even though she could not see him. "Because the people of Earth wanted you to understand something. We are not monsters. We are not conquerors. We are just people. Parents. Children. Farmers. Artists. Scientists. Dreamers. We want to live in peace. We want to explore the stars. We want to meet other species and learn from them. Her eyes hardened. But we will not be slaves. We will not be harvested. We will not let our children grow up in chains. And if you force us to fight, we will fight with everything we have. Not because we enjoy it, but because we must. She stood up and walked closer to the camera. You have 1 hour to make your decision, Admiral. Leave our system and never return. Tell your masters what you found here. Tell them about Earth. Tell them about humanity. Warn them, she paused, or stay. And watch your fleet die. Watch your soldiers turn to dust. And know that we will not stop there. We will follow you home. We will free every species you have enslaved. We will tear down your empire piece by piece, not because we hate you, but because we cannot allow you to threaten anyone else. Admiral Corrin looked around his bridge. His officers were frozen with fear. His sensors showed the human fleet emerging from hiding, taking positions, preparing for battle. His weapons were useless. His shields were meaningless. His entire fleet was trapped inside a cage of invisible death. He had 2 choices: fight and die, or run and live. For the first time in his long career, Admiral Corrin gave an order he had never given before. All ships, reverse course. We are leaving. Torek stared at him. Admiral? We cannot retreat. The High Council will. The High Council is not here. I am. And I will not sacrifice 900 ships and 1,000,000 soldiers for pride. We are leaving. Now. The order spread through the fleet. Ships turned. Engines fired. The mighty Vial armada that had come to harvest Earth began to run away. On the screen, Hana Yoon watched them go. Her face showed no triumph, no joy, just sadness. Thank you, Admiral, she said quietly, for choosing wisely. Remember this day. Remember what you learned here. And remember this warning. She leaned forward one last time. Earth is not alone anymore. And we are watching. The transmission ended. The Vial fleet disappeared into slipspace. And Earth, the small blue planet that was supposed to be an easy harvest, remained free. The first battle was over, but the war for the galaxy had just begun. The recordings spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Within hours, every species under Vial control had seen it. They watched the human woman speak. They watched the fleet retreat. They watched the impossible happen. And something began to change inside them. Something that had been dead for centuries. Hope. On the Vial homeworld, the High Council met in emergency session. They watched the recording in silence. When it ended, no one spoke for a long time. This is unacceptable, one of them finally said. We must send a larger fleet. We must crush these humans and make an example of them. With what? Another replied. They have weapons we cannot match, technology we do not understand, and they have shown they are not afraid to use it. Then we develop new weapons. We find new allies. We have been doing this for 10,000 years. We have never needed new weapons. We have never needed allies. We simply took what we wanted because no one could stop us. The eldest member of the council spoke. His voice was old and tired. Perhaps that was the problem. We became arrogant. We stopped growing. We thought ourselves gods, and we forgot that even gods can fall. The chamber fell silent. What do we do? Someone asked. The elder looked at the frozen image of Hana Yoon on the screen. Her dark eyes seemed to stare back at him. We wait. We watch. We learn. He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Across the galaxy, other powers were having similar conversations. The Kel Federation, neutral for 1,000 years, began quietly strengthening their borders. The Tor Collective, ancient enemies of the Vial, started sending secret messages to Earth. The slave species on 100 worlds looked up at the stars and whispered a new word. Humans. On a space station at the edge of known space, Three beings from different species sat together and talked. Did you see the recording? Everyone has seen it. Do you believe it? A species that young? That primitive? Defeating the Viel? The third being, an old trader who had lived for 300 years, laughed softly. I have traveled to many worlds. I have seen many species. And I have learned one thing. Never judge a species by their age. Judge them by their eyes. Their eyes? Yes. The eyes of prey are on the sides of their head. They are built to see danger coming, to run, to hide. But predators? Predators have eyes in the front, focused, forward, ready to hunt. He pulled up an image of a human face on his data pad. Look at them. Their eyes face forward. They are not prey. They never were. The Viel made a mistake that all conquerors eventually make. They assumed everyone weaker than them was also less dangerous than them. He put the datapad away. These humans are not less dangerous. They are more dangerous, because they have spent their entire existence fighting each other. They have been sharpening their claws for thousands of years. And now they have turned those claws outward. The other two beings looked at each other. What happens now? Now everything changes. On Earth, life returned to normal. Or something like normal. The governments of the world finally shared the truth with their people. There were riots at first. Panic. Fear. But humans adapt. They always have. Within weeks, the panic faded. Within months, people went back to their jobs and their lives. But they walked a little taller now. They looked at the sky a little differently. They knew they were not alone. And they knew they had won. General Do-hyun retired to a small farm outside Seoul. He grew vegetables and watched the sunset, and tried to forget the weight of the decisions he had made. Sometimes Captain Minji visited him. She was a general herself now, leading the New Earth Defense Force. They would drink tea and talk about the old days. Do you think they will come back? Minji asked one evening. Do-hyun looked at the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Someday. Maybe the Viel. Maybe someone else. There will always be those who want to take what we have. And we will be ready? We will always be ready. That is what humans do. We prepare. We adapt. We survive. Junho Baek disappeared again, back to his hidden laboratory, working on weapons and defenses that would not be needed for decades. Hana Yoon returned to her classroom, teaching children who would grow up knowing they lived in a galaxy full of wonders and dangers. And Yuna Park stood at her observatory, doing what she had always done, watching the stars, searching the darkness, looking for threats, looking for friends, looking for answers to questions humanity had not yet learned to ask. Late one night, she detected a new signal. It came from far away, from a region of space no one had explored. It was not Vael. It was not any species they knew. It was something new. She listened to it for a long time. Then she smiled. Hello out there, she whispered to the darkness. We are humans. We are not afraid. And we are coming. Far across the galaxy, in places where light itself grew old, ancient beings stirred. They had slept for millions of years, waiting for something interesting to happen, waiting for a species worth noticing. They had heard the message. They had seen the recording. And for the first time in eons, they turned their attention toward a small blue planet in an unremarkable solar system. The humans had announced themselves to the universe. They had declared that they would not be conquered. They had promised to explore, to grow, to reach for the stars. The ancient beings watched and waited. Some with curiosity, some with concern, some with something that might have been excitement, because the galaxy had been quiet for too long. The old powers had grown stale. The balance needed to shift. And these humans, these strange, violent, beautiful, terrifying creatures, might just be the ones to shift it. Earth was no longer just another planet. It was no longer a target. It was a warning. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, something very old smiled. The game had just gotten interesting.